What's up, everybody? Hey, good morning. Hope you're doing great today, wherever you are. Good morning to you if it's morning where you are. Good evening to you if it's evening where you are. So, my name is Martin Matthews. Today on our morning show, we're going to be talking about false beliefs, false money beliefs in society. This episode today will not be for the faint of heart. We're going to talk about false money beliefs in society. We're going to confront that. Why do I think certain beliefs are false? And you can examine that and actually find out what's true for you based on what your beliefs around money are. There's a lot of sayings in society that may or may not be true for you. Some of those sayings could be holding you back. Some of those sayings could propel you forward. So you got to have the right sayings, the right thoughts, the right views up here. So I think I'm actually going to turn this into a series on false money beliefs in society. So if you don't know who I am, my wife's usually here with me when we're doing the show. We're authors of this book, Let's Fight About Money, about couples and money. And somebody said yo on Instagram. So when you're coming in, just type where you're coming from, ask questions. You can engage in the comments. That's all fine and appropriate. Keep it respectful. And if you like this content, share and invite others if you think it might be beneficial to them. We own multiple businesses, generally around the financial space. We have primarily a financial consulting and investment agency. We also have an insurance agency where we show people how to use various types of strategies to leverage to buy real estate and things like that. So every Monday through Friday, we go live at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We talk about personal financial development. Today, we're talking about false money beliefs in society. First of all, I'm a big believer that you have to understand the meaning of words, what words actually mean. So when somebody says something is false, what does the word false mean? So one thing is a lot of words have multiple definitions. There's not just one definition for words. So I'm going to define false. So one definition false, you probably know, false, something that's not true. That's one definition of false. Another definition of false is tending to mislead, as in a false promise. Like you make a promise to somebody, but you're trying to mislead them with your promise. You don't have any intention of fulfilling that promise. That's a false promise. You're tending to mislead that person. Somebody says, yes, I'm going to commit in a relationship to you. And that person's like, I'm going to cheat on her next weekend. That's a false promise, okay? You're misleading, tending to mislead. And then a third definition of false is inaccurate in pitch, meaning like in music, something's inaccurate, right? So something could be false and it could just be not fully accurate. And a lot of times somebody might be giving you information that they think is true, but they've never really inspected it and never really looked at it and say, hey, is this actually true for me or not? So I encourage you to inspect information that you receive, all from society, from your brother, your sister, your parents, people you see on social media, anything we say, look at it and examine it. Does this make sense for me, the individual, right? Because that way, you're making your own decision. You're being determined about your decision that you make in the area of finances, in the area of relationships, in life, in business, all of those kinds of things. Ultimately, you are the final decision maker in your life. So any information you gather that comes at you, examine it and see, hey, does this make sense for me? This is valuable. So the first thing that I want to take up, first thing, fact check everything. That's right. And also, one thing is, though, you should look at the source of your information when it comes to like fact checking something, because like you want to be able to. Sometimes you'll hear information and information conflicts, right? One person says this, another person says that. How do you determine who's right? That's something you have to look at. So what you have to look at is what's right for you. Two people might be equally qualified and they say two different things because they're telling you what's right from their perspective. You have to look at your perspective and what's right for you. So the first thing, false money beliefs in society. These are things I have looked at for myself and I find them to be either inaccurate, untrue, or a little misleading. is first one is debt is bad. Debt is bad. So you have one view. There's a lot of people who tell you debt's bad, debt's evil, you're a slave if you have debt, all these different things. But what they don't clarify is what type of debt are they talking about? Are they talking about, because there's lots of different types of debt. So when you get information, you have to ask questions. What do you mean by that? When you say debt is bad, when you say debt's evil, ask somebody, what do you mean by that? What kind of debt are you talking about? So ask them that question. So the blanket saying debt is bad, I find to be a false money belief, because I believe there's if you break debt into different categories, there's what I call good debt and bad debt. So now let me give you a definition or explanation of the difference between the two. So bad debt would be massive liabilities that you have that's taking money out of your pocket. Credit cards for trips that you took, shopping sprees you went on credit cards, all these different things. Then you couldn't afford to pay for it, so you put it on a credit card because you were short on cash, right? And now it's bad debt because it's taking money out of your pocket. An example of good debt would be, I want to buy an apartment building. It's $1 million apartment building. I don't have $1 million cash, but I got $250. So I'm going to need to go to a bank and have them lend me the other $750,000 so I can buy this apartment building. And this apartment building is going to cash flow and is going to bring me income, meaning the income I'm getting from the apartment building is way more than the cost of the debt to service the debt, which means I end up with a profit. So having that debt actually creates a profit for me. That is an example of good debt. Good debt is a debt for assets, buying assets. Assets is something that puts money into your pocket, puts money in your bank account. Okay, so when somebody says debt's bad, what you might think is to mean all debt. And sometimes they do, but if you don't examine it and you just accept that, you're gonna approach life with a very limited perspective. Because when it comes down, when somebody says let's put money together, let's say 4 of your buddies come together and say, look, I've been researching this real estate thing. I found this apartment building. Hey, it's $1 million apartment building. It's already cash flowing. It's an off-market deal. You know, I think we can get this at a good price. It costs $1 million. There's 5 of us. Let's each put $50,000 in and come up with $250,000. So we put that down to buy this $1 million apartment building that already has tenants and it's already going to cash flow. And in your mind, you hear debt is bad. Okay, then your first question is, how are we going to come up with the other $750,000? And then the guy who's putting the deal together is like, oh, we're going to finance it. We're going to borrow $750,000. And you're thinking, I got $30,000 of credit card debt. I can't even confront $750,000. That guy's crazy. And so you're operating on information that debt is bad. That's the operating process. What you didn't do, or what the person doesn't do in that scenario, is break down, hey, what type of debt? What type of debt are you talking about? Is it bad debt or is it good debt? Is it debt that I'm getting on an asset? Excuse me, is it debt that I'm getting on an asset? Or is it I'm buying trinkets with this? I'm buying fancy shoes so I can look rich. I'm buying expensive belts so I can look rich, but I'm putting it on my credit card. Is that the type of debt, or are we talking about debt on asset? So confront that. Hey, we're talking today about money beliefs in society, false money beliefs in society. And so one of them is debt is bad. And you'll see there's a lot of people who go through different places. Some of them go to churches and to preach to you about how debt's bad and debt is evil and all that. Okay. However, when you dig deeper as to why that person's saying it, it generally is because they mismanaged debt. They didn't know how to handle debt. So now they take their bad experience and they project that onto you. And they try to give you that bad data. And they want you to accept that data to be true for you. What if you are a good manager of debt? You understand this? You can either manage debt well or manage debt poorly. You can manage zero debt. If your goal is to not have any debt, nothing is wrong with that. If your goal is to be debt free, nothing is wrong with that. That means you're managing no debt. Other people want to manage millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of debt. Now, understand, when I say tens of millions, I'm not talking about tens of millions of credit cards, because most people won't get $1 million credit line on their credit card. You have to have a very high income for you to get a credit card with a certain amount limit on there. So I'm talking about debt on assets, in which you can actually have your business get the debt. Meaning, because a lot of times people, when they look and think about debt, they think about the burden around debt, think about, I won't be able to pay it back, all these different things. They look at being able to pay from their cash flow. What if I lose my job? Right? But you understand that there are real estate investors. And you understand that these real estate investors own apartment buildings, own self-storage units, own all kinds of different things. And you recognize that these real estate investors did not pay all cash for these properties. So what does that mean? It means they have debt, lots of debt on these properties. You also understand that that real estate business is a business, which means it exists with it as a limited liability corporation or something like that. It exists as a business. So when I go get financing for a property that exists as a business, I'm not going there personally borrowing the money. You have to understand there's a difference between a business borrowing money and an individual borrowing money. There's two different entities. There's my household and then there's my business. So if my business goes and buys or borrows money, the business is what's taking the loan, not necessarily Martin Matthews. You understand? So if I take that and I buy an apartment building, they're looking at, okay, so you're going to buy this apartment building. What's the cash flow? What's net operating income? All of these different things, so that it can see the cash flow that already exists on that property can service the loan, can pay off the loan and create a profit. So to look at how well can you manage that property. Those are other factors. So understand, first false money belief is that debt is bad. Debt by itself is not bad. Debt's either good or bad. You decide how you use it and how you manage it. If you manage it poorly, that means you're a poor manager of it, which means you become burdened by it. If you manage it well, it creates a tremendous amount of wealth. Most wealthy people use leverage. They don't find Jay-Z and Beyonce have a mortgage. Mark Zuckerberg has a mortgage. Warren Buffett has a mortgage. Warren Buffett, you always hear about Warren Buffett's one house. Warren Buffett doesn't just own one house. Okay. He lives in that one main house. He's purchased multiple homes in his lifetime. Okay. So Jay-Z and Beyonce, massive mortgage, monster mortgages. Mark Zuckerberg did a video where I showed Mark Zuckerberg refinanced his home. Why does a billionaire need to refinance his home when he can pay cash for the house easily? $6 million. He could have paid cash for the house. Why didn't he? Because he doesn't want to sell his assets to go pay cash for a house. So he borrows the money. And why people they will lend to him? Why? Because he's a billionaire. He's got assets. So they're not concerned about his ability to pay them back. So you start thinking differently, okay, around there. So that's the first thing. The second false money belief in society is the rich take advantage of the poor. This is one I hear and see a lot. The rich take advantage of the poor. And by rich, I'm not talking about like people who just inherit money. I'm talking about people who created and built their wealth. Somebody who started a business and made it, right? The rich take advantage of the poor. The reason I believe this is a false belief, and some of these things you may or may not agree with it. It's fine if you don't agree with it. I would challenge you to look at it. Look at it and say, hey, why don't I believe this? Why? If you feel emotion about it, if you get upset about it, okay, why? So look at it to see if it's factual or not for you. The reason with somebody like me looking at that is because most of the rich people I know have created a ton of value. They have created a ton of jobs. Anytime they create a job, that means somebody now can occupy that role, go and produce in that company, get paid for their production, and then go and use that money in society. They can go buy gas, they go buy groceries, pay their rent or mortgage, all of these things because they've gone to work and produced, and they put that money to work in society. Those other places can hire people. The gas station can hire people. The grocery store can hire people. All of those other places can hire people now because somebody created a job so that income could come to somebody who occupies that job, and they can use that money to take care of their families. Grand rising to you. So look, the rich take advantage of the poor is another false money belief in society. Now, and let me tell you where I think this originated from. You'll find that there are politicians who like to create division. That's their whole game. There's people, some of them are politicians, some of them are in different places. They like to create division. Good news doesn't tend to sell in the media. Bad news tends to sell, right? Somebody said a plane landing safely is not news. A plane crash, that's news. So every day they should report how many planes landed safely all around the world. If they did that, people would not be afraid of flying. There's millions of flights daily. I think so. I think there's millions. There's got to be like at least hundreds of thousands, but there's millions of people, tens of millions of people flying around the world, right? All landing safely. Yet it's never reported on. It's the bad news that gets reported on. So the division, hatred, those kinds of things. So what they try to do is they try to pit people who are employers and employees and try to pit them against each other. So, and they try to spur that up and try to create division. They try to create division across racial lines. They try to create division across political lines. They try to create divisions in all kinds of different ways. Oh, you're different than this other person? Oh, yeah. You shouldn't like them because of this reason. Whatever. So a lot of times they try to create division. So sometimes they try to create division between somebody who's rich and somebody who's poor. And they tell you if you're poor, is that rich guy's fault. So the rich guy is taking advantage of you. That's why you're poor. And so a lot of times these false information goes through society. Most rich people I know work really hard, and they create jobs and they produce. Another thing to say is the CEO makes so much more money than the average employee. That's true. The CEO also has a lot more responsibilities than the average employee. That average employee doesn't even have to think about. Different considerations average employers have to think about. So, of course, that person is compensated more. So understand that when people say rich take advantage of the poor, they're trying to pit people against each other. And I don't find that to be a true money belief. If I look at a lot of rich people, most of them are business owners who employ lots of other people. They've created value for lots of other people. They got rich by solving problems. The only way you get rich, except from inheriting the money, is you have to produce for people. You have to find, there's some problem people have in society. You solve it. You solve that problem. And then people exchange with you in the form of money. And that's how you become rich. And if you're smart with that, you make investments, you do different things, and then you expand your wealth. But you cannot get rich without producing something unless you inherited the money, in which somebody did the work for you to inherit the money anyway. Hey, Snow, good morning. Welcome. So look, if you're coming in, drop in, let us know. Let us know in your comments what false money belief that you've seen in society, that you've seen. We're talking about false money beliefs today. The first one we talked about was debt is bad. I explained that there's good debt, there's bad debt. And it's how you manage and handle it that's either good or bad. It's either can help you advance or set you back. So it's not just a blanket statement. Confront that, look at it, and see if it's true for you. Second thing we talked about was rich take advantage of the poor. Where I said that was a false belief in society. I believe that rich people create more jobs. Yes, there's destructive rich people. There's destructive poor people. So somebody can be a jerk and get a lot of money and become a bigger jerk. But the vast majority of people who become rich in America today, they produced something positive that other people wanted, so they paid for it. Okay. Third false money belief in society. We're going to do a series on a bunch of these. All of them is just to get you to look. You can agree with them or not agree with them, but it's to get you to actually just examine them, because in society, there's a lot of information that people take in that's not true. Over the years, I've had to correct a lot of different information I had. When I first came to America, I had very little information, and I had incorrect information on money. I had to look at that and say, hey, is this useful? Is this helpful to me, or is this destructive? Is this helping me to advance, or is this setting me backwards? So the third one for today is money can't buy happiness. This one I find kind of funny, because happiness is not something you can buy. So for somebody to say money can't buy happiness, it's a weird saying. Like, it's an odd saying that money can't buy happiness. What I think they mean by that is, or what I think they're intending to say, is that money by itself is not the end all or be all, right? So here's what I believe produces I was thinking about this the other day. What I believe produces happiness in somebody. A lot of times people go to a poor country. I was born in Liberia, West Africa. Last 2 years was ranked the poorest nation on earth. Not a great title, but some nation is going to be the poorest. So that's the one. And that's the place I was born. Poorest nation on earth. It's not very great. The people make not a whole lot of money each month, right? So people always when they go to poor countries, to come from a rich country, go to a poor country, they say things like this. The people were poor, but they were so happy. You know why they were happy? It's because they're generally productive. So, for example, you might go to a village in West Africa and be like, oh, the people are so poor, but they're so happy. One, they're happy to see you because you just came there. They know you're not from there, okay? They know you don't live there. And you might hook them up with some money or some gifts or something like that. They're happy. They'll clap for you, cheer. They're happy to see you, of course. You're in their land. They're happy because you might help them. That's one thing. But the second real reason, though, is they're usually productive. Somebody's in a village, they're not laying around watching TV all day. They're not doing that. They're going out, they're farming their land, they're doing something, they're going to the market to sell their goods. There's a lot of fishermen in Liberia, and and that's their livelihood. They go on the ocean, they take their nets, they catch the fish, and then sometimes their wives or their sisters will take it to the market and sell the fresh fish. Sometimes they sell it right there on the beach. So they're being productive. And being productive makes you happy. When you produce a positive result, makes you happy. It's why a lot of people like to go to the gym. When I go to the gym and work out, I have more energy because I've produced something. I'm happier. Nobody regrets working out. They only regret not working out. Just a little tip for you there. So the whole thing, money can't buy happiness. Happiness is not something you can purchase. But there's a study that came out years ago that said if you make $75,000 a year, then that's your peak happiness. If you don't need to make more than $75,000 a year to be happier. This was kind of odd to me because this kind of limits where how much you can do or how much you should aim for. So it gives you this arbitrary fake target in your mind of 75,000 a year. What if you want to make 100? What if you want to make 150? $250,000. Now you're thinking, oh, if I make $250,000, I won't be any happier than 75. So 75 should be my goal. Well, when 75 is your goal and 30 is your goal and whatever is your goal, and you start hitting high gas prices and high groceries, what do you think then? Are you more stressed or less stressed? Are you be like, no, I'm good. Yeah, these gas prices are killing me, but I'm good. No, you want to continue to create more. You as a being are meant to create more. There's not a limit on your creativity. So, and actually, then a study came out from the Harvard Business School. I'll share this here with you guys here. Let me see. It says more proof that money can buy happiness. So first they say money can't buy happiness. Then they say, oh, it can buy happiness. What they're actually saying is money can buy you a life that has less stress. I get asked a lot. I have a lot of family still in West Africa, friends, family in West Africa, right? And just 1 second here. They're in West Africa, and so sometimes I get asked for money. Just 1 second, I'm going to share something with you guys really quick. I get asked for money. I don't know if that's showing or not. I think it is. So it says more proof that money can buy happiness or a life with less stress, right? So I get asked for money a lot. And so and then a lot of times it's like, hey, my child is sick. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? I need some money to go here. This person passed away, all these different things. Every week I get asked for money every week, sometimes more than once a week. And so, because a lot of people in Liberia survive off their relatives who live in foreign countries. People like me who live here send money to relatives, and sometimes that's the only way they're surviving, have food to eat. So a lot of people come here from other countries. They know about that. They send money back home to try to help their people. So I say that because when somebody's child is sick and you can give them some money so that they can go and save their child's life and get the medical care they need, they have a tremendous depth of appreciation and happiness that you had some resources to help them. They are happy about that. So understand, money is just a tool. Is a tool to be used to help people if you use it properly. Is a tool to help advance the survival of mankind. If I go and work and I produce more than I need, everybody should produce more than they need, so that they can do things with it. First of all, your income must be greater than your expenses plus reserves, so that you have more resources, and then you can then be able to help others. And that's part of the main point I want to make. So the whole idea that money can't buy happiness, you can use it. How you use money can make you happier. Chelsea and I donate to charitable causes. That makes us happy because it's helping people. We help some people that's in need. One of the things that we do that I don't talk a whole lot about, I should probably talk more about these things, is I personally microfinance. Do it just privately. And microfinance is where you lend somebody in a poor country like $25, $50, $75, $100, tiny amounts of money. And that person can start a small business to start buying little things, and they go and sell it in the market, and they buy food to eat that day, and they go in to do that. And whenever I put money into this, I don't ever take the money out. I'll lend it to somebody. They usually pay us back in a year, and then I lend it to somebody else again. It's just micro loans. It's a way to help people get uplifted out of poverty. And so I primarily lend to women. A lot of times they're widows, and so they got children, and they spend their days. They want to send their kids to school, and they spend their days going to the market. So those kinds of things. So anyway, I see that the comment on Instagram. I'll ask that in a second about the credit card thing. So I wanted to just come on here and share that with you guys. False money beliefs in society. Today we tackled 3 of them. There's if you want to know more, Rain's going to put a link on here that you can see. You can go to get a free introductory course from us. It's all free. It talks about the 6 areas of your finances and how to start to get your finances organized, because money, a wise man said, that if you're trying to get money to flow to you, things can't be disorganized. If you want to get money to come your way, so you got to, one of the first things you got to do is organize your finances. And so we have an introductory course. You guys can take it for free. You watch some videos, and it breaks down to 6 areas of your financial house. So Rain's going to drop that in the comments. You can go there and you can watch that, and you can actually learn the basic fundamental pieces of your overall financial house. And then there's other things there that you can do. There's other things we put together in a lot of courses so that we can educate people. For a long time, I was opposed to doing courses because we have a business where we work with clients. We have clients in 48 states, and I didn't want to be perceived as somebody who's online selling courses. Nothing's wrong with that. We had different businesses, and I would focus on that. But then we get a lot of people reaching out to us, asking us from basic information to all kinds of different steps along the way. And I said, well, the best and most effective way we can educate people, because our mission is to make sure people are financially educated. When you increase your knowledge, you can take more responsibility and have more control over your finances. So the most efficient way for people to educate their finances is for them to take a course. You take a course, you learn something. And if you're trying to educate people on a mass scale, you can't talk to every single person one-on-one. You have to do it at scale, and that's the most efficient way to do it. And so that's what we started doing, is putting education that way. I believe the lack of financial education is the greatest economic crisis of our time. People don't understand how money and finances work. They don't understand how banks in America work. They generally don't understand credit, business credit. All these things are mysteries to people. They've never been taught. How are you supposed to understand something you were never taught? They teach you about all kinds of weird things in school, but they don't teach you about practical things you need to operate and run a household, run the finances of a household. Never taught that. So then how do you manage? And then by the time when you turn 18, you get all these offers for credit cards, all these offers for things. You have to make investment decisions, retirement plan decisions, all these different things, and you have no basic education around it. Do you think that kind of person will make mistakes? Yes. That's why many people make financial mistakes. I've made a ton of financial mistakes because I didn't understand information about money because I was never taught. So that's what we're trying to do. You can go there, go to this link here. It's also in the comments, and if you're on Instagram, you can check out our link in bio. You can send me a DM, and we'll send you access to our free course. It's a free intro course on the 6 building blocks to your financial house. So thank you for watching. We will see you guys tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time.